it's over. Wrap it up. Mushoku Tensei fandom is probably up and just... They're probably gooning to this news right now. Not them. The extremists are probably doing it though. The anti-ReZero people. But we got some breaking news recently that Studio White Fox, the studio behind ReZero, Steins Gate, and even Ugly Mug happening right now, they have been acquired by publisher Alpha Police. So if you guys are, unemployed children, you don't really understand how things work in corporations and business. Whenever a company gets acquired or a merger happens with a bigger company, it's usually not a good sign, right? It's not an absolute thing, but it's signs that like the studio, the company, whatever, has just pretty much just gone belly up. Whatever reasons, maybe they're dry in funds, maybe they're just selling out and they just want, resources from a bigger company. But what that actually does is the parent company now will do whatever they want. I don't know exactly what the deal is. Sometimes the acquisition happens in such a way that the sister company being acquired is allowed to basically operate the same way, same leadership, same direction, except a little bit more money. But sometimes the parent company will just take over and it's going to be a hostile takeover. Lauren Ipsum, Strivolokia, aka Ice, a notable source, has basically said this, and it's going to happen by September 30th, 2025. I don't know what that means for ReZero Season 4 because I'm assuming it's going to take a while for the transition to happen. So I think Season 4 content probably should be fine, even though it's coming out in 2026, right? Alpha Police is behind the publisher of several 9th level series, including Gate and Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy. Now, that's kind of good news for Gate and Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy, right? Gate apparently announced, what was it? Season 2? I know that it has 2 cores, right? We covered that in our channel. And Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy 2, many seasons that's aired. So, like, maybe it's like a good news for those series, but bad news for ReZero. Who knows? One of Alpha Police's goals is to, in this acquisition seems to be to use White Fox to animate their own IPs. Dear God, with how Swamp White Fox got and how they were in talks to animate other IPs already after ReZero Season 4. Okay. I just got done reading Alpha Police press release regarding the acquisition. They heavily drummed how much they want to animate their own IPs via their acquisition. Okay, so basically like ReZero is not the priority. We're gonna get some good Gate and Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy though, and those are series that I enjoy, but it's just like at the cost of ReZero. We'll have to see, right? We'll have to see what happens. He also mentions that, we could be looking at Kadokawa window shopping from a saturated productivity. So like basically maybe we do an entire studio switch instead of White Fox doing ReZero. I don't know how this is gonna go. There's also a Reddit thread, kind of talking about this entire thing. Man, ReZero is so cursed to be stuck with studios who are struggling animation development. Probably also means Kadokawa will most likely assign another studio to do ReZero after Season 4, which also means that another possible 4-year wait after the next season. I think that this is already gonna be the case from the beginning because Season 3 and 4, this was not like Season 1 and 2. Season 1 and 2 already had 4-year gaps happening. Season 3 and 4, technically it should have been one season, mega season, but production issues happened and they were already greenlit for covering Arc 6 and 5 together. That's why I think there's only a short duration. Regardless of what happened, I think that it would have been 4 years wait afterwards, but yeah. This is not good news. We got a video from Azarata kind of talking about this. Let's hear his opinion about it.
You're watching this video for an obvious reason, okay? You saw the title or the thumbnail and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Well, a couple hours ago, news came out that
Dropping
anime
news.
studio White Fox has been purchased by the publisher Alpha Police. Now, if you don't already know, White Fox is the animation studio in charge of ReZero, among other things. They're doing Ugly Mug currently and possibly future projects in the future.
I'm actually quite disappointed at Ugly Mug after episode 1. It's just been kind of down. Maybe the future arcs will be better, but goddamn, the character interactions, the slice of life elements, the talking about feelings and bullshit completely subverts the expectations that was set in episode 1, which was Ugly Mug, epic fighter. Right now, we're just doing epic therapist.
Sure. At the moment, their main project is ReZero. However, things have definitely been shaken up a little bit, so the acquisition date is set for September 30th.
2025.
Alpha Police is a light novel publishing company, just like Kadokawa, who owns ReZero. Obviously, Kadokawa also publishes all kinds of things, but Alpha Police, from my understanding, is a significantly smaller company. But you might know them from works like Gate. I've never seen it or heard of it until today. Re Monster,
What? Season 2 remaster confirmed! Yo, that shit, season 1 went fucking hard in terms of viewership because of the controversy. Basically, it's an isekai about a dude that gets reincarnated as a goblin, then he goes around fucking humans and other species. But in like a good way, not like Goblin Slayer way. So like, if you're a fan of this series, hey man, you might get some better anime like that, man. Gate also, I love Gate. Season 1, both cores I think was fantastic. It started to kind of drag along during season 2, but sorry, in the core 2, but season 2 news already announced, right? Things were already in, you know, greenlit, so hey, we'll get good content here, but ReZero though, you know, it's like, damn.
I've watched like a couple episodes, it wasn't very good. They're not known for a lot.
That's crazy. Asaratha watched Monster but not Gate. That's crazy to me.
White Fox has been obtained by a significantly smaller company. Now, not to confuse.
Also, let's go back here. There's some other series here. Hold up. So if you look at this, Gate, New New Saga? It's happening right now. Okay, I mean shit. Maybe season 2 is already confirmed. Then they got remasters. Skimichi Moon Fantasy is a big plus to me. I love Skimichi Moon Fantasy. I don't know what the new Gate is. I don't know this. I don't know that. I don't know that. Goodbye Dragon Life. That's a pretty mid reincarnation show that we watched before and we dropped it. Journey Through Another World, Raising Kids While Adventuring. That was a cute show. That was a isekai with the guy that has like, you know, 2 blue twin, you know, kids that he raises. Possibly the greatest alchemist of all time. Yo, we've seen every one of these. May I ask for one final thing? I've heard of that. Remonster we know. Unaware Athlete Meister. Holy shit. We have pretty much. Yes, I have Atelier Meister, I have Remonster, I have Greatest Alchemist, I have Journey, I have Goodbye Dragon Life, I have New Gate, I have New Saga, I have Skimichi Musa's Gate Remaster. I have all of these! And most of them are mid. They're like 6 out of 10, maybe. But, that's because they didn't have White Fox, you know? They had some other shitty ass studios, they had some other shitty ass directions, so like, you know? At the cost of ReZero though?
Gate? I've never seen it. Company. Now, not to confuse people, Kadokawa didn't own White Fox. Kadokawa just worked with White Fox. White Fox was 100% owned by the CEO, Gaku, which is no longer the case. Along with this acquisition, White Fox also published the numbers that they were pulling. Barely a profit margin, which is normally the case for animation studios to my knowledge.
Honestly, making a profit margin already puts you ahead of the pack. Most companies are operating at a deficit, right? They're just already in the minus, and they're barely just kind of getting away with it.
And it generally means that if you're going...
This company does have some of the most mid isekais. Again, those lists, again, we've covered them in this channel. I've seen them. But like, those animes though, it's because it didn't have White Fox. It was some other shitty ass studio with the direction that was very lackluster. Imagine Unaware Atelier Meister or The Great Alchemist or like even Skimichi Moon Fantasy, I think is one of the better ones. Gets good treatment, man. But at the cost of ReZero?
Going to lump sum purchase something that doesn't make a lot of money, you're going to have a specific vision in mind for it. Ice, who also sent me this document, by the way, which I appreciate, went through and looked at the numbers. The studio boasted around $5 million in sales last year, with around $8.8 million forecast for this year. Despite that, like many animation studios, they retained very slim profit margins, numbering under $100,000.
That's sad.
With a meager 30,000 USD forecast for 2025.
That is so fucking sad. And you're gonna call me out of touch. A profit of 100,000? That's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. For like one person working a job. That's good money. Good paycheck. 6 figures, great. This is a fucking studio, bro. This is business. They have multiple people in the studio. Do you understand how fucking pathetic a profit of 100K is? For like a business, a fucking corporation that has many people to pay. Like, Jesus.
So the primary reason why you would buy a company that's making $30,000 of profit a year is because you're going to transform it.
Yeah.
Maybe transform's not the right.
It's a cheap bargain seller right now. Studio White Fox, no matter how good quality, you know, ReZero anime has been, in terms of pure business, they're buying the dip. It's a great sale. They're gonna buy it and they're gonna fucking milk that shit.
But you're not just going to let it continue as is. And I believe Alpha Polis has stated as such in their press release. Specifically, they want to use White Fox to really establish their own IPs,
IP.
really work on their own stuff. Quote unquote, prioritize high quality visuals, which obviously every company is going to say.
Sure.
Because you're not going to buy a company and go, you know what, I think that we're going to make some dog shit with this one. I think we're really going to pump out some straight ass. So,
in an ideal scenario, even if ReZero gets sacrificed, imagine some like ReZero Season 1, Season 2 quality work for like Skimichi Mula Fantasy. Or Gate. Or any of the other fucking nitty isekais that we covered in this channel. I'm just trying to look at the positives. But like, what if they're all just garbage? What if it's the same quality, same shit, and they're just gonna use this fucking studio that they're gonna acquire and just milk it, and it's just gonna be a skeleton factory, just like a night shift crew, the bare bones. It's gonna be even worse.
White Fox, the animation studio with ReZero, has been acquired, and it's probably going to transform internally at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe that's too much of an assumption, but
No, I think that is a very reasonable assumption to be making, considering all the different facts that we have right now. Ideally, listen, Studio White Fox isn't the reason ReZero is good. It's the team from Studio White Fox that worked on ReZero and their collaboration with Nagatsuki Tape, the author of ReZero, of why it's good. So if those people are able to simply work on more ReZero projects under a different name, then hey, maybe something good can come from this. We're not cooked entirely.
again, you don't purchase it for no reason. They're going to start probably working on Alpha Polis production as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I imagine Kadokawa is not necessarily thrilled, but like Ice claims, it was completely bought out. I don't know if Kadokawa really had much to say about it. You know, you can't really just go, hey, you're working on one of our projects, that means that we can intervene in your purchase. So, obviously, with White Fox...
Why doesn't Kadokawa just buy Alpha Polis? Hey, why not? What do you mean, bro? You fucking... Okay, they bought White... Buy them! That's not how that works. It's a very, very simple solution. Very unreasonable, though.
Now being under potentially new management, people are going to have a lot of questions about the ReZero anime. And one thing I want to get out of the way immediately, a lot of people are going to say a lot of things about this in the coming days, okay? A lot of people are going to have a lot of ideas about what this means, and I will tell you this now. Most people are just lying.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know what is going on.
Oh, absolutely. It's all uncertain. People are going to be making shit up for the sake of engagement farming on Twitter and Reddit and whatever, and they're just going to say, oh, insider sources, actually it's canceled, it's forever, it's doomed, oh no. I think it's reasonable to assume that Season 4 will pretty much be like the last project that we have under White Fox as the corporate structure that exists right now. Because they've been working on it for a while. Even if the acquisition happens in September, in, you know, a month and a bit, right? They still have been working on Season 4 for a long time. And even if it comes out in 2026, I fail to see how they could just cancel Season 4. I think they're going to wrap it up with Season 4, and all the content after Season 4 will most likely be very different.
To happen. If it comes from someone familiar with the industry, or if it comes from someone like Ice, that's probably worth more to listen to. But any of these armchair industry experts, even including myself, don't take their word at face value because they don't know what's going to happen.
No one knows.
I think what's safe to do at this point is to answer a few questions that people might have.
Okay.
The first question is ReZero Season 4 now
Probably
canceled
not.
because
I
of
don't
the
think
purchase?
so.
And the obvious answer here is
No.
no.
You've already seen the trailers. You've already seen them doing hype marketing. No, it's most likely going to happen.
That would never happen in a million years. I imagine whatever is in the contract between the purchase for White Fox and Alpha Polis, I don't even remember their fucking name. Okay,
Alpha Polis
includes that whatever projects they're currently working on, they get to keep working on. Because you know, White Fox is also under contract with Kadokawa. You can't necessarily just go, hey, you know, I kind of don't feel like abiding by the contract anymore. Unless White Fox isn't interested in even making $30,000 next year. Perhaps
That's so sad. 30,000. A McDonald's worker in America makes more than that. This is a business. This is a corporation. 30,000. A teenager working full time at a minimum wage job makes more than that.
significantly in the red if they want to break the contract. ReZero Season 4 is probably, I don't know for sure, going to continue as is.
Yeah.
And the worst thing that'll happen to it, which is not a good thing by the way, is that Alpha Polis will give White Fox new productions to start working on, which will negatively impact Season 4.
I do agree with that. Who knows how much they've completed Season 4, but let's assume that they're 70-80% of the way done. And now the last 20% is going to get impacted due to this acquisition. I could see that.
Because they want to prioritize their own IP over this Kadokawa IP. Because at the end of the day, Alpha Polis is a competitor or a rival to Kadokawa, but like I said on my Discord server, it's the same way that like itch.io is a competitor to Steam, okay? It's not on the same level. So no, Season 4...
Kadokawa should just buy Alpha Polis then. They're so fucking small. Please, Daddy Kadokawa, save us.
4 is definitely not going to be canceled. That's going to be fine. The second question is, what happens now? And like I said,
we just speculate. We just wait and see.
Anybody that thinks they can answer this probably can't. I don't know about you. I have seldom seen this happen. Not to say that I've been involved in the anime industry for a long time, but the closest analogy we have is when AOT was getting shopped around, right? WIT didn't want to work on AOT anymore. There was one season left, and they went to MAPPA. And, well...
Pretty good trade-off, right? I don't think anyone's complaining about the conclusion of Attack... No, people are complaining about how the story ended. But I'm talking about production. Even if it's not, like, what you were familiar with, like, this is not necessarily a significant downgrade at all.
We know how that's going. Nobody truly knows what is going to happen. So anybody that says they do, just speculation.
Yeah.
But Season 4 is still going to be White Fox. The most likely scenario is that Season 5 could change. But we don't know. There are 3 options for what happens next, right?
Okay.
Option 1, White Fox somehow keeps ReZero.
That'd be great.
I'm starting to think this is the least likely option.
Yeah, it's a very optimistic one. But if, again, Studio Alpha Polis or producer Alpha Polis, right, the distributor, or sorry, they are, what are they? They're producers, right? They're basically in charge of, you know, different series, and they have the power to control studios and to pump out their own content. They already said they're gonna prioritize their own IP. If they don't increase headcount, which they probably won't. I just don't see how, like, oh, imagine they come in and they're like, you know what, the ReZero team, you will not be impacted. You guys do your thing, and you will never work on the other IPs that we're pushing out until ReZero is done. I just don't see that happening. These are greedy-ass corporations. It's in their best interest to keep operational costs low. They don't want to hire new people and increase headcount and to pump out more content. They bought this studio at a fucking discount bargain, and their goal is to push down mid their own IPs. I don't see it happening.
White Fox keeping ReZero would mean that they are working on ReZero alongside whatever projects White Fox wanted to work on that haven't been announced already, unless somehow Alpha Polis is like axing them, which I'd be surprised. And they would also have to work alongside Alpha Polis Productions, which would mean that ReZero is going to, not even just ReZero, but the whole White Fox team is going to be stretched so incredibly thin that it's not even funny.
Yep.
Probably not a good solution. And also, I don't think it's particularly likely, the more I think about it. I really don't think that Kadokawa is going to want to keep, you know, their biggest moneymaker. Yeah, just throw it to the wolves. I can't help but think how funny it is that ReZero is one of Kadokawa's biggest moneymakers, and that you have the 4-year gap between season.
I didn't know about that, but I guess it really entails on like how much, you know. Kadokawa values ReZero. If it is that much of a moneymaker, at the end of the day, companies follow money. It maybe likely scenario could be that like they're gonna spare ReZero. They're gonna be like, all right, y'all take fucking other shit, but the ReZero team, that's ours. I don't know. What kind of deal did they make? What if Alpha Polis offered them a lump sum of money that kind of overrides their priority to keep ReZero because they're seeing just short-term profits instead of long-term gain?
1 and 2. And then COVID hits, which causes massive production strain on Season 2. And which then causes Season 2 to have to be core split, right? Which then causes another 4-year gap between Season 2 and 3 because White Fox collapsed. Which then causes more production issues with Season 3, which then causes a Season 3 core split, which then causes a Season 3 and Season 4 split.
Yep.
And now White Fox has been acquired by a different company.
At the very least, Season 3 and 4, the timeline between them was not 4 years. Again, I still think that it's because from the beginning, like Season 1 and 2 of ReZero, I don't think it was the same as Season 3 and 4, right? I don't think they had any intentions to be making Season 2 immediately after Season 1. But the Season 3 and 4 content, it was split in half, so I think it's a bit different. It's more akin to like Season 2 Core 1 and 2 split. Maybe.
ReZero is like the most cursed fucking IP in existence. Anyway, the second option, in my opinion here, a new studio for ReZero. A lot of people are gonna say, oh my god, it's gonna be Cygames or fucking whatever studio does.
Dude, Cygames would be a hype! Studio Cygames has been absolutely fucking killing it, bro! God, their Uma Musume's, god fucking damn. Even like, aren't they doing Summer Hikaru Died? I forget. Anyway, Cygames are absolutely... Cygames is doing Kagurabachi? Really? Okay. That's one of the big battle shonens that's about to come in. Studio Ufotable, I don't see it happening. It's rumored that they're doing Kagurabachi. Okay. What about Studio Bind? Studio Bind picks up Mushoku Tensei and ReZero. Nah, I don't think so.
Shield Hero, I don't remember. They were just talking about it in my Discord, but I forget. Oh my god, it's gonna be Mappa. Nobody knows. Straight up, nobody knows.
It's gonna be 8-Bit Studios. It's gonna be the Answer Studio. What other fucking cursed ass studios have we recently done? ACAST Studio debate, baby! No!
And I think part of what's worrying about this, Attack on Titan,
JC staff would actually not be that bad. And that's not even a hot take. If JC staff assigns their Danmachi or their Railgun, you know, that priority team onto ReZero, I think that shit would be better than White Fox. If we're gonna be comparing Sakuga ability. Maybe that's a crazy take from me, but like, again, I'm comparing the most elite team that JC staff saves for their most beloved project. Will they put their best team for ReZero though? That's a totally separate topic.
was exceptionally difficult to shop around because you have this monster of an IP.
Also, yeah, Studio Bind. I didn't even know Studio Bind is half owned by White Fox. I didn't realize. So I have no idea how this impacts Mushoku Tensei then.
Right? A complete monster of an IP that has such a dedicated fan base, that has so many expectations. Nobody wanted to take it because it's already been established. You don't get to try your own vision or identity for the show. A lot of people didn't want to accept it, except for Mappa, because, you know, they'll take fucking anything, it seems. But Attack on Titan at least had the benefit of the fact that it was ending. Attack on Titan was ending. So there was an end in sight.
We are not at the home stretch line, right? I think ReZero is still going. There's a lot of content left.
A new ReZero studio might be difficult to obtain because ReZero is going to go on for an indefinite amount of time. It's an extremely expansive series. You have to worry about all the side content. You have to worry about the giant scale of the series that hasn't even been adapted yet. And just like Attack on Titan, you have to worry about what people already expect and come to know from ReZero. I don't think finding a new ReZero studio is going to be nearly as straightforward as some people make it out to be.
Agreed.
But ultimately, Kadokawa will want to give it to someone. Will it be a prestige studio? I don't know. Nobody knows. But if they can't find a prestige studio, it might just go to some bottom-of-the-barrel slop fucking studio. But let's just hope that doesn't happen. The third and final option, currently I think this is the least likely because like we talked about, ReZero is a moneymaker. there
It's
will be no
over.
more ReZero anime.
Yeah, I don't think about this, right? I think that worst case scenario is it gets handed off to fucking a trash studio and we get a terrible adaptation. It just being axed and canceled, I just don't see that happening. There's too much, money on the line here.
I don't think this is going to happen. Just to continually iterate so people don't take me out of context here. This would be in the instance that they can't find a new studio, or they're in shopping purgatory, or whatever you want to call it, that ReZero just doesn't get picked up. And
Here's an option 4, or not, actually it's still option 2. It's like option 2.5. Rather than an existing studio, how about a brand new ReZero studio? We're not talking about an existing, like a monolith taking on a project, because that idea, again, as Saratha mentioned, there's no end in sight. Why would they do that? But if somehow, some way, out of fucking sheer miracle, like the fucking Phoenix, bro, it just spawns out of creation, and the exact same White Fox Studio team joins that fucking team and it closely works with Nagatsuki Tape. Wouldn't that be amazing? Hey, that's pretty optimistic. Unlikely.
Season 4 is unfortunately where it ends off. I don't think this is the case. I think we'll probably find a new studio. I just can't guarantee the studio quality. Ultimately, they'll want to keep ReZero running. They're not just going to let it go quietly into the night.
Womp womp.
It's big, uncharted territory, I would say. Nobody truly knows what's going to happen. But what I will say, my baseline opinion as someone who doesn't really know the precedents for this or what's going to happen, it's probably not good.
Yeah.
And if you've watched my anime videos, which I'm sure some of you have, you'll know that I've had my criticisms of how White Fox has handled ReZero. Quite a few of them, in fact. But I think overall,
Those are gonna be, he's gonna be begging for those standards to come back. If he has been complaining about, White Fox doing all that shit, we're gonna be begging for the old times back.
this is probably, or it has the potential to be, a net negative. Whether it be staying with White Fox and they get slammed by all the projects they have to do, whether it be trying to find a new studio and all of the fuck-ups that can happen with that.
Like, we need a miracle. Straight up. Logically, just thinking about the situation, everything just points to just it being bad. It just being inferior to what we have so far. So at this point, we need a fucking miracle to happen. Maybe there's some people in the industry that just loves and adores this show so much and has the connections and the networking and the influence to be able to, cause that to happen. But like right now, it's fucking cooked.
Or whether the anime just sort of ends, which I think would be the most depressing option. A lot of changes are potentially coming to the anime after Season 4, but no one knows what's happening, and we're all just gonna figure it out together, I guess.
One positive note is the best arc ReZero, apparently, to date, is Arc 6. And at the very least, we have Studio White Fox that probably, almost finished it, right? There's a chance that, it gets impacted due to the acquisition near the tail end, but it's been in the works for so long, so the final project under the same team, under the same structure, is gonna be the best arc of ReZero. So that's one good dub, one for the road. Pour it out after that.
I just wanted to tap in and talk about it before any or too much misinformation spreads, because we don't know what's gonna happen. That's about it, though. Thank you so much for watching. If you like.
Thank you, Asaratha, for the detailed explanation and your own input in different scenarios. It's definitely a very insightful video. And it's sad, because ReZero is literally one of my favorite animes. Probably top 3. Straight up. The anime, Season 1, it's still just fucking mind-blowing how that impacted me. Arc 3, I still think about it sometimes, and it's just chills, man. And to think that this project, which has been loved and beloved, and Studio White Fox specifically was working on it along with a close collaboration with the author Tape, to think that it's gonna end like this, it's sad. But doesn't mean that, this is a definitive. It's likely that it's gonna be a net negative at the end, but you never know. We'll just have to stick around and find out. Please check out Asaratha. Here's a link to the video. Go give it a like and check out his content for more ReZero-like content. See you next time.